The high point for entire running community.
Yeah,
We broke 7.
India did it.
Yeah.
Amar did it. He was the first Indian to do a sub 700 kilometer. So the story of Project 300 definitely is amazing. We had 3 national records broken, 2 female national records broken, and 3 personal bests.
What has Project 300 taught you? Some of the learnings that amateur runners can actually apply in their lives.
So the first thing I would say is that try to recreate the race during training to see what happens.
12-hour national record. Talk us through that. What was that event? What did he do there?
And I'll give you an example what kind of data we were collecting for one race. So when Amar tried to break the 12-hour national record, that was basically a huge science experiment for us. And I can certainly leave it open for your listeners, and then they can obviously use it and
The custom fueling plan?
Yeah, custom fueling plan.
Wonderful.
Should an athlete sleep over the course of 24 hours?
When the glucose deplete, what does the blood sugar graph?
That's where the Energiva product really stood out. Yeah, because it didn't have that issue.
Wow.
It didn't crash. The shoes that we use for running aren't really designed for ultra running.
Ultra running shoes are not available in India. Are they available anywhere? Everyone tuning in to this episode, I believe, should feel proud of what we've been attempting through this Energiva Project 300.
Yeah,
Right?
100%. We was trying to do things that nobody had ever done before, because ultra running as such, it's such a niche sport that there isn't enough data to really say what should be and shouldn't be done. You had athletes like Gino running non-stop, and there are several moments where Gino is just sitting down and he's just looking down and he's in pain. And then Hemant, one of the crew members, telling him, why you're running. Think about your mother and father. And then he just gets up and goes. Then you had Sunita Subha, who made a promise to her late father that she would do something incredible in sports. So this was a promise to her dad.
You've trained for many months and maybe years with certain athletes, and you arrive in France, Albi. What happens? Welcome back to the Find Your Ultra podcast. This special episode is a conversation with Ashwin Adiga. Ashwin is someone who I've done another episode with last year, and that conversation was about Project 300, where he spoke about the project for the first time. He shared with us the details of what they've been up to over the last couple of years. They've selected a bunch of athletes. They've put together a team. They've put together some technology, some systems in place to challenge the limits of human endurance. And they set out to achieve this audacious goal of running 300 kilometers in 24 hours, something that no Indian has done so far. And I think worldwide also, this has only been done a handful number of times. In this episode, we hear not just about what they went through in this process, the learnings and everything that we can benefit from, but also the stories. Some of the stories of the athletes involved in this process, and I believe the team as well, is really moving. Like, you should just stay till the end for those stories. This was a conversation that I truly enjoyed having. I love talking to Ashwin, and I love talking to anyone really about ultra running, about human performance, about mindset, about stories. That's what we have plenty of in this episode. So tune in, stay right till the end. This is Ashwin Adiga and me in the Find Your Ultra podcast. Indulge away. Ashwin, welcome back to the Find Your Ultra podcast.
Hi, how are you?
Good, yeah, good to have you back. Good to super looking forward to discussing some really interesting things, hearing some crazy stories.
Yeah.
In this podcast, we are interested not just in numbers and in data and how people go about things, but also stories, also human stories, because that's what moves us, right? That stories move people.
Yeah.
And you guys have been up to something that is super inspiring since the beginning. I've been saying that, like NEB Sports and Energiva. Is Energiva the sponsor of that project? Project
Yes,
300?
absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. People at Energiva, the team that you put together, the endeavor, the ambition, and the grind, and everything in between. We want to know all of that.
Yeah.
So last time we met, you covered about what the Project 300 was. For those who've not checked it out, we will link it in the show notes, and people can tune into that conversation. But I think this can be a standalone episode, that even if it does not really need the context of the previous conversation. So if you are short on time, watch this one, right?
Yeah.
So just to get the context for people who've not heard the previous episode, what is Project 300, and
Yeah.
why does it matter to you?
100%. So what I was in a situation where I had a sports nutrition product, Energiva, and I also had access and trust of many ultra athletes. And I thought, why not build credibility for this product through Energiva? And since I have these athletes, let's see how far they can go. But product alone doesn't take you that far. You need to have an ecosystem and a set up in such a way that you can take the product to its full potential. So I kind of had this, kind of formed together a bunch of crazy people, each expert in their own field. And we got together and we decided to come up and dream some audacious goals. And we thought, let's do something crazy. And after the first time we worked with Amar and we got to 271 kilometers and we broke the national record, we said, let's look at the numbers and see where Amar can go. And it landed on 300 plus. So we said 315 or 12 sounds like a odd number. Let's do 300. Which is in and of itself its own.
But I thought 300 was born before that, before Amar did the national record of 270 odd, or was it after that?
Yeah, I think we might touch upon this. Is something I know we discussed. We felt that looking at a lot of the substrate utilization tests of Amar, that 240 something, I don't know the exact number, 240 kilometers before we worked with him was a very low number. And it was a number where he actually just got there out of sheer willpower, because he would run a maximum of 40 kilometers leading up to these 24-hour races, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So he was like, the first time I do a 24-hour run or a long run or a night run is at the race. And that's what he did. So we said, okay, if you give him everything, surely he can do more. And the numbers said he could. And I still believe he can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And then, so you put together this team. But didn't you think 300 is like, bahut dur hai?
I don't know. I feel a number is a number.
Did you like genuinely believe we can get there?
100%.
Yeah.
I still believe we can get there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like what Kipchoge did, he took him several attempts to get to break the sub 2, right?
I mean, I know two attempts. One was with Nike breaking 2, and the other project was Ineos 159.
Was it?
Yeah, Ineos.
Okay, I didn't know this. I thought breaking 2 he did it then itself.
No. So breaking 2 was sponsored by Nike.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely huge inspiration from that for sure. I think definitely it was a big inspiration for us. I think chasing 100 also came, or breaking 6. I don't know. Adidas did something.
Breaking
too.
6.
Yeah, which is funny because I looked at that. Obviously, I was very inspired by breaking 2, and I loved the storytelling part of it. And it because I remember as. I think when I started running in 2010, 12, I see marathon runners and I was like, I mean, I'm a kid, right? And that time. So I was like, okay, what is how fast can a runner run or whatever? And they told me some number. And I said, why? I would say like naively, I said, why not just do a sub 2 or whatever? And then I was like, okay, it's really hard, this, that, the other thing. And of course, like, I think we're moving in that direction with all the sports technology we have. And then when Kipchoge did, I said, wow, this is amazing. And of course, Nike was behind it, and Nike are like phenomenal storytellers.
Yeah,
so.
and then you have to realize, even then, despite the best of everything, the attempt failed. It was 2 hours and 25 seconds. So he couldn't do it by 25 seconds.
Crazy.
And then the next attempt, Ineos project 159, that's when Kipchoge actually did it. But just for context, like for the audience, we are talking about an Indian brand and a bunch of Indian people getting a bunch of athletes and putting an ecosystem together and dreaming for an audacious goal like a 300-kilometer run within 24 hours.
Okay, do you know how far that is? Because I have to explain to people like, okay, 300 isn't just a number. Like if you see the distance from this city to that city, that's like less than 300 actually.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Chandigarh would be close to that, 250 odd.
Yeah, which is crazy, no?
Yeah, it's insane. Within 24 hours. And so that's what they dreamt of. And just for the context, like you said you're inspired by Kipchoge's attempt.
Yeah, 100%.
But just for context sake, honestly, Kipchoge's attempt, I was just hearing in a podcast before we started rolling here.
Yeah.
The budget for that was 15 million pounds.
Oh, wow.
15 million pounds. And look at the resources that you guys are working with here. And still thinking so so big.
Yeah, I think we can discuss the results of the project for sure. I think it merits its own point at some
Yeah,
point.
but no,
Yeah.
but I think that
Mm.
this deserves applause. Just thinking about it in this way, just being so audacious and ambitious, and putting your heart and soul into it for a while. No, it's not just you. It's not just the entire team. It's the athletes. It's their families. So many sacrifices are involved in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the beneficiaries is actually the Indian sport, the Indian community entire. So everyone tuning into this episode, I believe, should feel proud of what we've been attempting through this Energy Your Project 300.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. I think definitely. I also want to point out that I had the most fun in the entire project because I was privy to some of the most interesting conversations ever among different experts and alphas in the team. Because every person who's made it this far in their respective field comes with their own confidence and alpha mentality, type A mentality, and it's always fun managing them. So I would definitely manage them. I don't think I really contributed that much in terms of like technical expertise because that's not really my job. So,
But you're the project manager. Like you were holding things you were the one holding things together.
yeah, but I don't think the manager technically is like the USP of the manager, or the value that he really brings or she really brings is more in the sense of managing people rather than actually bringing in a specific skill set to solve a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but managing people is a key skill.
It is
and
definitely a key
especially when
skill,
you're dealing with
100%.
people,
Yeah.
and especially in sport where you're all the time dealing with data and human emotion altogether, and like trying to steer things in certain
Oh yeah,
direction.
that definitely happened for sure. Yeah.
Great. Do you want to talk about how did you put this infrastructure together, this entire system where you brought in these people, and what was the whole idea? What all did you have to like uh, put together for this system to sort of take us to 300?
Yeah. So we had like the athletes first and foremost, which were selected, and they were definitely, I would say, the best in the country. Some of the athletes were some of the best in the world. Definitely the creme of the athletes we chose to work with, and the coaches that were there. We had Samanvita, who is a PhD student from the John Moores University. She is doing a PhD in sports nutrition in running. So she is like a specialist in running, ultra running. We had Vivek, who was a biomechanics expert in running. He did his master's in Ireland. So he's worked with a number of teams. He's worked on multiple projects in sports. So he's also worked in multiple with professional football teams as well. So he knows how to manage athletes. He knows how to do load management and all these complicated tasks, and understanding how to work with athletes to walk them out of injuries and mentally prepare them for game day, race day, match day. And then you have Santosh Padmanabhan, one of the, I would say he was doing ultra marathons in 2008, that time period before it was known and popular. And yeah, I think the good old days of ultra running, I think some people would call that. So he was the team coach. And then you had these people who would work with the athlete, get data. And then at the top, you would have a sports scientist, which was Abhishek. He kind of consumed all the data, and on Mondays, we would basically have a meeting where we would discuss that, hey, all these athletes are sharing this feedback. And what we would do is we'd actually have multiple commercial grade technologies, like, for example, the Garmin, heart rate monitor, other devices which they would use for their runs. And we would extrapolate that data and say, hey, this is what the data says. And of course, we would also, any means of data collection we would do, and we would collect it and we bring it onto one single repository and say, hey, this is what the data says, this is what's happening. Are we going according to plan? Do we need to change the plan? So on and so forth. So every Monday we would sit and work. And the purpose of that Monday meeting was to really sit together and understand what's happening. What do we do? What should we do? What shouldn't we do? And of course, the athletes were training at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go deeper into what you just said about setting systems? How did you go about using the system, specifically preparing for the big event, D-Day, which is the World Championships in Albi 2025?
Yeah. So our objective when it came to training was to reap the maximum benefit of a sport like running, which is a linear sport. So the benefit of running as a sport is that it's a linear sport. For the large extent, you can control most variables, which you can't really do in other sports. So if that's the case, we wanted to recreate as much training load, gut issues. We actually wanted to see what all problems can happen. Can we solve it? and can we move forward from that? And that might also mean getting injured during training. Why would you get injured during training? Because you're overtraining? Okay, great. We have Vivek here. He can fix it if there's any particular issue. If it gets really complicated, Vivek and Abhishek can sit and fix it. If the athlete is having some gut issue, if they're having something, okay, someone with us there, she can handle it. If there's any particular issue with training plan, Santosh is there. He can handle it. And if there are certain scenarios, we can all sit together and work on it, because you've got like some really great minds working together to solve issues. So the athlete doesn't really have any issues at all or any concern. The athlete just has to focus on waking up, wearing your shoes, and running. So it's a very seamless process for the athlete, super easy, and it's how professional sports should be. Athletes just have to focus on performing.
Did you also have a psychologist on board?
You know what? That's actually one thing which I wanted, which we didn't have, which I think
Because I was
Santosh.
just thinking all the other things are there.
Yeah.
It's
100%. There were certain athletes that I felt whose performance in theory and paper was incredible, because you look at data and data can paint a theoretical picture. Obviously, reality, there's a different ball game. And realistically, I felt certain athletes were held back mentally only because they needed a psychological intervention to understand what's happening, because the human brain is complicated.
It is
100%.
Which is why I was thinking, because when you say you fix everything else for them, it's only athlete and their mind. Who's going to deal with the mind? Because mind's a beast. It
Yeah,
can
I
also
think
be a make or a
that part,
break.
Santosh and me, everybody had this discussion in the team. We all felt that there needs to be a psychologist on board. I think there is a need for one, for sure. That is one shortcoming of this, for sure. I agree. 100% we needed to have a sports psychologist. We couldn't do it out of the budget. It was a tight project to begin with. So yeah.
Yeah, next time I hope the budgets are better and we can do what we couldn't do this time in terms of putting the team together. Okay, but barring that thing, please continue.
You love this. So the Monday evening meetings, which happened at evening because two of our team members, Abhishek and Samanvita, were in the UK. So it was a common time where everybody could, meet together. So those meetings were some of the most interesting meetings ever, because you had we were trying to do things that nobody had ever done before, because ultra running as such, it's such a niche sport that there isn't enough data to really say what should be and shouldn't be done at any level. So we were doing things that have never been done before, and we were venturing into territory that has never, no one's ever seen or tried to do stuff like this before.
Give me examples of what were those things.
So a common thing that we kept having to answer this question is, should an athlete sleep over the course of 24 hours? How, in theoretically speaking, they should, right? Because the neurological fatigue of running for so long or whatever takes its toll, and sleep has restorative benefits. Should you sleep? And you have people from these institutional education and stuff like that, they are quoting you papers and stuff. And then you have somebody like Santosh who's been running ultra running for so long, and he had certain opinions saying that, hey, I think maybe this might not work. And then obviously looking down to the athlete and saying, why does this athlete prefer sleeping versus the other athlete? Because there were certain athletes that said, hey, no, I need to take a nap. Why does it work for them versus the other person? What data can we get to say that it works for him versus him? Those kind of things.
How do you deal with that?
I don't know. We didn't answer this question because it was one of those things that was dot. We need to be answered. But the discussions were so interesting. I actually thought I thought of you a lot during those discussions, because I said he would love this. I
would love to be involved in the project in any way the next time it happens.
100%. I definitely think I was telling people that, hey, if it's possible, let's just open the Monday meetings to certain people who are just nerds of running or fans of ultra running. Just come on board. Just listen to the conversations. Obviously, I pitched hard on this because I said, hey, let's get everybody involved because it's super interesting. And I mean, come on, realistically, the people that want to stay in for a 90-minute meeting or a 120-minute meeting are really big fans and nerds. So they'll definitely find it very entertaining and interesting. But yeah, we touched on a lot of sensitive things, and athletes having certain problems and certain it didn't seem right to we felt like, okay, it's not fair for the athlete, it's not fair for
no, fair enough, but thank you for trying.
Yeah. I tried really hard. I didn't get the consent from everyone. Yeah.
Great. Tell us more about this. And so in it, you were talking about preparing leading up to these races, and you were having to make decisions that are not usually people are not usually faced with, and people don't even have enough data to like
Yeah.
be able to make that decision. And you give an example of like whether an athlete needs to sleep or not, and one is saying that they do need, and the others.
So I will break it down into really simple parts. The objective of every training cycle was to hit a peak load and get as much data to Samanvita and Abhishek so that they could then provide us with an actual race day plan, which the athletes could use on race day. That was the entire objective of the training cycle.
Can you backtrack a little bit and paint the entire picture for me? So let's say in a year, how do you plan these training cycles?
You work backwards, right, from the goal. So you have a goal, for example, of doing X amount of distance, and then you just work back from that. You have to obviously like taper and let your body rest and heal so that it can peak at a certain point. And then you say, what training data do I need? Identify that. How many times can you get that data? And then combine the data and then say, this is what's going to happen. This is what might happen. This is what you do in these certain scenarios. I'll get into that as we discuss further into it. So that's really how we kind of worked into it. The problem we had is that some athletes actually had like several personal issues that, I mean, are absolutely unavoidable, and it's part of life. So we were like really constrained in terms of time. So we were down to two main training loads, which were like 2 12-hour training blocks. So one night and one day. And to really see what the athlete can do during that time, collect the data and then share it with Samanvita and Abhishek, and then they can then process that and give us a race day plan. Because we didn't want to go into another, world championship and say, what do you want to the athlete? We wanted the athlete to know that, hey, this is the plan. This is how much carbohydrates you need to eat at this point. This is why you need to eat this. This is why this works at that time. This is what you have to do, like minute by minute plan over 24 hours. And yeah, that was the end goal. We wanted the athlete to know that this is what you have to follow. This is what the plan says. They also know, and they just have to focus on running. They don't have to think about, oh, if I have this, what's going to happen to me? What if I get bloated? What if this happens to me? That wasn't the case at all.
Because you had done all of that in training as well.
We tested
their
everything.
Gut
yeah,
also.
prime their gut.
I saw a remarkable stat. I think Gino posted that he said he had 3 Energiva gels every hour for 24 hours.
It's so funny.
Was it 3 or was it 2?
I can't remember right now, but I know that they were basically consuming so much Energiva gels that for Amar's birthday they gave him an Energiva cake. He's like, I think at that it was funny because he ran on his birthday, and I think he was so carbohydrate fatigued. He said, I can't do this. But I thought that was a little funny, like cute thing that the team did.
No, but we were mind blown. A couple of my friends were discussing this. They were saying Gino had so many gels, like so many. How did he get to that stage? How does one prime themselves to like?
Yeah, he's like an outlier in this case because he is one of those people that can consume copious amounts of carbohydrate and not have any issues. I think the real person, if anybody has to study, oh, what do you do if you have gut issues? I think Amar is one of those people. Yeah, he has a very sensitive gut. Like getting his gut to consume those amount of carbohydrates took a very long time. And I would say it took more than 8 weeks. It took several months. And more than anything else, we always looked at it as an education for the athlete. Because if you have this system, right, you might think, yeah, the system is there, but there's an athlete education component that goes into it well, because the athlete, one, has to trust the system and also has to report issues, why the system isn't working. Because if an athlete says, hey, I can't push beyond this limit, and we tell them, no, the point is to push beyond your limit and see what happens. And those 12-hour periods, we definitely pushed them to their limit. So, it was really intense on them. And I feel like the performance that you saw in all those cases was a result of them, hitting that wall several times and knowing that, okay, cool, this is what happens to me. Psychologically, you need to know what's going to happen to you. And you see this in any sport where they want to recreate as much as possible race day, game day, match day scenario, so that when they're there, it's not foreign. It's not new.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. When you were saying initially what all can happen, it's a very linear sport and you can get data and try to prepare for most things. So, of course, you have somebody who can help you with biomechanics, somebody who can help you with nutrition and all of that. You got all that covered.
Yeah.
But there's one piece in this which is the athlete. And athlete, when we're dealing with an injury, let's say an injury is about to come.
Hmm.
The athlete also, I think this must also be a challenge to get the athlete to open up about all these things. Like if they, I felt a little pain here and there, little niggle, but I didn't feel it was significant enough to report. And that develops over different sessions into an injury.
You can't hide. That's the part of the system, is that you can't hide these injuries because let's say
Will show you
okay,
data cadence.
yeah, okay, that's a very, I like that you picked up on that. Very interesting. Yeah, definitely. Certainly, it can pick up on cadence. You can make a graph and say this. But when the athletes had their training done, they had complimentary sessions paid for by Energiva with Vivek. They went to a training space. It was very nice, actually. They all trained at my jiu-jitsu gym in Bangalore. Huge thank you to Rohit for giving us his space. Beautiful space. It's got like a squat rack, everything. Institute of Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. He gave me a rate, actually. He told me it's going to cost you this much per session. I said, okay, but he never asked me. And then at some point, I was just like, I'm not going to bring this up because it was like the costs were really high. So I said, okay, cool. If he's okay with this, then I'm just gonna say thank you. I take this opportunity to thank him for being very generous. So all the athletes kind of met together at the Institute of Jiu-Jitsu and they trained together. And during those group training sessions, Vivek would actually conduct tests. So these issues, Santosh would report saying, hey, during their run, I felt their gait was off. Can you look into this issue? So we had like an objective test to say this. And then Vivek would share that with Abhishek, who's also like into biomechanics. And that's his actual background. He's an S&C coach. He used to his specialty is injury prevention, and he got into sports science and human physiology. So he has that background. So him and Vivek had very interesting discussions on what to do, how to do. So we definitely spotted a bunch of issues and we like ironed it out, and it wasn't an issue. I can point out certain like actual issues. Definitely Amar had a very serious issue leading up to the event, and we were able to like minimize it to the best of our ability. And that's where I think
It was an injury related issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we realized is that the shoes that we use for running aren't really designed for ultra running. I shared this with you while you're doing your race as well. The shoes, they're not meant to last that kind of distance. What really, like, one of the things we were actually trying to do is share this data with like Puma and these other brands, so that like, hey, why don't you make a shoe that can do this? Because we can share this data with you, and then you guys do your thing, come up with a product that can do this. I mean, for whatever reason, it didn't work out or whatever. But we had to deal.
Talking about shoes is a different minefield altogether. We can get into this because so you're saying these shoes are like ultra running shoes are not available in India. Are they available anywhere? Like what does Courtney do Walter wear? Or
the thing is, like, I don't know what they would do because they didn't have the kind of issues we had. Okay, so by that I mean,
have you tried Hoka's and stuff? The international brands.
The issue what we had is that right now in India, it's really difficult to get the high-end shoes or the super shoes or whatever, only because I think there's some import restriction or whatever. In the long run, it's very good for Indian manufacturing and Indian sport also, because now all these super shoes will end up getting made here at some point eventually. Unfortunately, for the time being, that's not going to happen. So he actually was wearing a pair of one set of shoes, which you couldn't find another set, because if I can throw money at the problem, I certainly would. I would buy the same pair multiple times, but we couldn't find that shoe. And you need to break into the shoe, do all that sort of stuff too, right? So we found another pair of shoes which kind of fit him, but then finding another pair of those shoes, because they're the highest.
But when you're starting this big training block, do you not like have a set of shoes that you?
He did have a set of shoes, and we realized that the problem with those shoes is that for that particular brand, runners are like, when they like a shoe, they like a shoe. So to convince him, especially like an athlete like him and stuff like that, to change shoes is like, it takes its own time. It's also that they also want I don't want to mess his feelings about a particular shoe or whatever, because he's like, it stayed with me, it helped me perform, and I want that confidence in the shoe as well. It's a feeling. I don't think there's any.
It's a feeling, and it does help. It can go a long way.
Yeah, but it's definitely a feeling. I don't know if it's like empirically, I think all the shoes are kind of similar, but I don't want to, like, if it works for you, I'm not going to get involved in it. So definitely what happened is he had a set of shoes. He didn't tell me that those shoes mileages were gonna kind of ending and he needed a new pair of shoes, and it was assumed that we could find those shoes readily
See,
available.
there are things that you can, just forget about or ignore, and then it can cost towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I feel that it's a lot of loyalty also. There's a lot of loyalty. And I think, that's why the running community is so beautiful, because you have beautiful individuals like Amar, and he's just one of many, right? So he's definitely loyal to the brand, a particular brand or whatever. And he couldn't find the shoe. And I had discussions with that brand, and they assured me that something could be done, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And now I'm in a situation to find another shoe brand that Amar is okay with. And we did find one. Now that shoe brand wasn't available after that. So, can I get another brand to do that? For sure. But I would want either of those two brands. If he's okay with those two shoes, okay, fine, fair enough. So that was the real issue with him, is that, he kind of maxed out the potential of each shoe, and that caused a lot of strain. And injury, load management in ultra running is everything. Seriously, the amount of load that these people do, or any ultra runner does, is insane. And especially us, because we were deliberately trying to really push and see and give Samanvita and Abhishek as much credible data as possible. Because what happens in those end moments when your gut is not working in the 16th hour of an ultra race? What do? Samanvita needs that data.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example what kind of data we were collecting for one race. So when Amar tried to break the 12-hour national record, that was basically a huge science experiment for us.
Yeah. So this was before the World Championship?
Yeah. This was in March in 2025. 2025, yeah, March.
That's when we recorded our previous episode, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Right after that.
Yeah, right after that, yeah.
Okay.
So we actually worked with a blood diagnostics company where we were collecting his bloods at several intervals. We had a CGM device on him. And then we also had a heart rate monitor on. He hated.
Man, I would pay to get that data. Can I see that? How does it
I
change?
can show you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, certainly.
Maybe we can't make it public, but
I'll share it with you. Absolutely. I'll share you some of the other data points too.
Because how does when the glucose depletes, what does the blood sugar graph?
That's where the Energiva product really stood out. Yeah, because it didn't have that issue.
Wow.
It didn't crash. Objectively, it's a great product. Wow. I was nervous actually, when we did that stuff, because you can't hide now. Marketing can't save you. This is just your product doing its thing, and no issues at all. So
then you should use this in the marketing.
I don't think it works.
Except that you don't do any marketing.
Yeah, that's a separate issue altogether. But I don't think that it works. Only because I feel like I look at what's working, what my other competitors are doing, and I think what they are doing is probably the right thing, which is being more influencer led. Having some influencer being I use this and stuff like that. I think definitely.
Yeah, but I think to reach more and more people, that is the way. But but also as people use the product, and product is definitely solid. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think we are definitely taking the marathon approach of taking it nice and slow and building credibility and trust. And yeah, definitely it speaks for itself. And sometimes less is more. I don't necessarily want to be a brand that says, yeah, take it. I'm if you like it, go ahead, do it. And once you take it, you won't stop.
No, I think the word will spread for sure.
Again, it's a marathon for us. It's never been a sprint. It's always been how we approach everything in any sport. So I don't think that'll ever change.
Yeah,
we're in it for the long run.
Since we're talking about it, should we also talk about Energiva's plans for new products? Do you have any new products lined up? I think currently you make electrolytes, gels, and salt. What else?
Salt caps, energy gels, and electrolytes. Yeah,
energy drinks.
So one of the other purposes of also doing a project like this also is that we wanted to really see what problems ultra runners are having, and that's the most tip of the spear in endurance, and then take that and understand what products can we create. And there are a bunch of products in the in the pipeline that we're working on, definitely, because that was so much data that we had, and definitely testing it and ensuring that it meets our standards, and then we can put it out. So yeah, something new is coming up, certainly. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
We'll get to know about that. Do you want to share some spoilers? What are those products?
I definitely wanted. This is something I wanted to do. Is I wanted to make a really, really good, really premium energy gel, super premium energy gel.
High calorie.
Yeah, high calorie energy gel for ultra running, and I wanted to make one specifically for 24 hours. That, but I mean, I don't think it'll sell. Like, come on, like how many people do if you look at how many people do marathons,
Yeah.
how many people?
You will have those numbers.
Yeah, I know I have
Yeah.
those numbers, so it's
Yeah.
not very high. And yeah, it's more like okay, like for that niche community, I want to make a product. Yeah, definitely. But I think it also has to make business sense. So I definitely want to cater to that customer because that is our obsession. So
And why not? Like, if you're looking to, if you're willing to put in the marketing muscle behind it, and get international athletes, because overseas there is a huge market. If you open up to that,
yeah, I think one of the weaknesses
I think
definitely.
Unimed sells overseas as well. They've got international athletes too, but I don't know what percentage of their sales actually comes from international
Yeah, but
markets.
I mean, I don't mean to use this. I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's a problem that I have is that I do too many things. I feel like I have to reach a point within the business.
That's the problem with passionate people.
I feel like I have to reach a certain point within the business where I can delegate and trust trust certain projects with certain people. And definitely, I would say NEB is definitely a really strong core pillar. MySemi also super important. Energy also is important. Right now, NEB Sports is like a very, very, very consuming, project. Events happen almost every weekend. Processes have to be set up. Marketing has to be set up. All that stuff has to be set up, and it takes time and money. And we're a completely 100% private company, so I don't have resources to just like splurge on marketing and stuff like that. I would rather do things like what we did at Project 300, build credibility, build trust, and then, okay, let's go one at a time. So yeah, definitely things move at a slower pace. But yeah, I feel that there is no pressure to show ROI. There is no need to do flashy gimmicks and stuff like that. There are trade-offs to each approach. Yeah. But yeah, certainly
I mean,
it's
now I'm
definitely.
even more wary of the brands that are in your face all the time, saying like splurging money, investors' money all the time, like you.
I think it works though. Unfortunately,
Yeah, it does.
100% works. Why would they do it then? Because I mean, it definitely works. Yeah, I mean, but I feel like consumers like you who are educated and who will try and say, no, actually doesn't suit me. And yeah.
I mean, there are a couple of different routes to helping people. One is, of course, helping the running community through making it accessible, but making it cheaper. So that also has its place. And the other is, of course, making a top quality product. Like, people pay more for Unimed. It's a good quality product. But not everyone affords that. Even some really good athletes, and this is a conversation that we have at ultraruns. कि पहली बात तो यार price conscious हैं लोग कि भाई कितने gels because you have to prime your gut. Now you're looking. I was talking to somebody who was looking to break the national record, not the national record, but course record, which actually would have been the national record
What
for
is it?
100 miles at
Oh,
border.
nice. I think that's Amar's personal best.
Currently,
Yeah, I think he's crazy.
12. So Amar, I think
Everything 100 miles, 12 hours. I don't think it was official. I don't think what he did was official 100-mile record.
Amar's.
There was one run he did. Anyway, he had 2025 was a very good year for Amar, by the way. So he did. Obviously, when we did the in March, basically we had this discussion, right? We got all that testing done. He officially broke the 12-hour national record, and then
This was in a stadium run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for some weird reason, he does really well in stadium runs.
And was that which race was it?
We just did a stadium run. It was like a national 24-hour stadium run, which Gino came first.
I see. So it wasn't like a Project 159, like because that's not considered
No,
an
you can't.
official world record.
No, of course it's considered.
It's not. So
Okay, yeah.
That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
When 159 happened, when Kipchoge broke the sub 2 hour, so there was this whole the brawl in the running community. Purists would say this is not a big, because it wasn't a race, right? Because it was supported, because it was so well managed, because he was wearing some
super shoes,
right? Because of all those reasons, this was not an event, and he was like, in a race, you have to go pick up your water, and he was like being handed water and stuff like that. So purists would say that. But despite all of that, it takes decades.
By that logic, by the way, the chasing 100 is not technically.
It's not.
Yeah,
but
it's not.
That also wasn't like a race.
Okay,
it was
so
also a project.
Among the IAU people or whatever, they were saying that it's technically not an IAU, because IAU has, I think, I don't know his name, Alexander. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Sorokin.
Yeah. So yeah. I still can't pronounce. I met him, by the way.
Oh, you went.
Yeah, I met. He's a really sweet guy. He is the record holder for 100 kilometers. He still is technically.
Yeah, because sub 6 happened and it was somebody else, but they're not recognizing it.
Yeah, they don't recognize it.
Yeah. But what you got to realize is it's still human physiology. It's not like they had put in some machine.
AFI recognizes Amar's though.
The 12-hour.
Yeah, the 12-hour one.
Oh.
The one in March, AFI recognized it because AFI officials were there. It's a course measured route. That's one of the things that has to happen. The route has to be measured. But I think I don't want to speak on behalf of Breaking 2 or Chasing 100, but I think the point of Breaking 2 and Chasing 100 actually is to show credibility of the product in Chasing 100 Adidas shoe and in Breaking 2 the Nike shoe. I don't know what the name of the shoe, but the shoe was the hero. The storytelling was of course like to get people's attention, get everybody excited. Yeah. So I don't think they were really trying to be official, so to speak.
Yeah, they were just, By the way, physiologically speaking, people still believe it was only Kipchoge who could do it. Like there would be, of course, better athletes are coming all the time, but it does take someone genetically gifted as well as someone special. Like you mentioned about Amar also all the time. Like there's something about that. So they say being like an outlier begins with choosing your parents very carefully, first of all. to begin with, like that's where the story begins.
Yeah, 100%. I think at the tip of the spear of performance, 100% genetics play like a huge factor in this.
Yeah. Even after all of that, it takes someone like Kipchoge who actually has been in the sport for so long. He won the world championships at being a teenager, and then how many people can sustain from their teenage to their 40s, like the sort of performance he sustained over the decades. So it takes someone special like that to attempt something like this.
Yeah, I often feel that when you see greats in any field, it's often I often tell myself that just enjoy their grace and their presence because it's a once in a lifetime. Whenever I watch Cristiano Ronaldo play at the age of 40, I always say that I'm so lucky. I am so happy and grateful. I always tuned in super late in the night to watch a Champions League match because that was him, performing. And now I still watch because it's the last chance I get to watch. It's LeBron James as well. I always watch his highlights because wow, at the age of 40, he is performing so well. And I don't know. I don't know if he's the greatest. I don't know if any of these people are the greatest of their time, but I'm grateful to watch them perform at this level. And the same thing with Amar, the same thing with Gino. The same thing with all the athletes, but I'm so grateful to have seen up close all their lives and everything that they've done because I don't know. I love greatness in all shape and form. Yeah. I can admire a work of art or some carpentry if there's like if it's just so much thought gone into it. I have nothing but admiration for it. Same reason why I admire a sunset or whatever. It's beautiful.
No, absolutely. It happens every day. It doesn't make it any less beautiful. It just is. It's just magical. I used to feel that way about Sachin's performance. Also,
I felt the same way. Yeah.
Because I knew this won't last forever. This guy's going to go. Is like every inning, every outing. It was just so special.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those who haven't heard the previous episode and do not know Amar much, right, and NEB Sports, we've given them some context here. But when we talk about Amar's 12-hour national record, talk us through that. What was that event? What did he do there?
Yeah, as I mentioned, there were several training blocks that we wanted our athletes to hit so that we could get data and then use that data so that we would have a race day plan for Project 300, which is the World Championships at Albi. So the 12-hour that happened in March was, for us, the objective was not to break the national record. The objective was to have our athlete run at a particular pace, get as much data from that, because he was running a night run. Okay, that it was happening the second half, and it was done purely because Amar struggles the most at the second half of any race. So we wanted as much data to understand what happens to his body during the night. So that was the objective. We got the objective. The bonus was the national record, which was broken.
Wow. How much did he cover?
He did 151.
151?
Yeah.
I thought he did 100 miles in 12 hours.
Okay, so there were several training blocks. So there was one 12-hour, one 8-hour training run, one 12-hour, another 12-hour night run, one 16-hour run. So 16 or 14, I'm not sure the exact number. So along these instances, wonderful things happened. So while Amar was training for the World Championships in Albi, he broke the national record for 12 hours. Then he broke his own national record again at one of the training runs, unofficial, because obviously in this case the officials weren't there, but he did it again. He did 160.
Yeah. An Indian's done 100 miles. Well, 100 miles is 161, I guess. So it's just shy of 100 miles, I guess.
Yeah. Then he ran again, and in the next training block, the 14-hour training block, he broke his personal best again for 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, by 2 kilometers.
Wow. So what was his personal best?
I think he did 160 something. It gets into points and all that. You're getting into those PBs with runners, especially. It's like every meter matters. Yeah, and then in the second one, he did it again. So, and not only did he do it, Sunita Subha unofficially broke the 12-hour national record also.
For women? What was the national record?
I don't know.
Would you know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know the number.
12-hour national record.
Yeah.
Wow. This must be close to 110 plus.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you know what? I know the numbers are definitely important, but obviously what like stands out to me are the stories behind this, because obviously I am sitting at the front row, getting to hear his training, hearing from Santosh, for example, how his training is going, how he's feeling about each and every single run, looking at Vivek, listening data from Vivek, saying how his training, listen to someone with us saying, hey, he's been following this, he's having these issues. I think we need to do blood work for him here and get that data because I need to see certain vitamin might be low or whatever. He needs these supplements, Abhishek doing all that. And then we're coming at these I'm coming and say, okay, what's going to happen today? And obviously it's a 12-hour event. So I'm sitting and, I'm just paying attention, seeing how they're feeling every hour and stuff like that. So I definitely think that obviously this was like a long time back now. And the feelings stayed with me watching them because yeah, he was smiling all the time. That always stuck out to me. He was smiling the entire time, and he's famous for that also. The guy that smiles, the runner that smiles always. Yeah. So that was definitely the phenomenal things that he did leading up to, the World Championship in Albi.
Phenomenal. I mean, I can totally relate to that feeling that you're talking about, watching it from the front row. I mean, I feel that way because in the last episode, also the last conversation that we recorded, I mentioned I started this group called the Sun Chasers.
Yeah. I remember this.
All of these guys started running at the same time. We're all complete newbies. And out of that, first time an Indian contingent goes for the World Championships. And I think out of 9, there are 6 Sun Chasers, right? So
really?
I had the front row seat to watch all of this happen because we all started running together. We all started talking about running together. Khate kya hai, peete kya hai, kaise bhagte hain, kitna bhagte hain, what should be the mileage? We're talking about all of this. And here these guys are wearing national colors now. Like it just feels so special. Just these stories are, yeah. But you've been privy to something even more magical because they've sort of gone ahead and broken national records.
Yeah. You know what? I think really among all of them, I really got to understand for some of them, like a lot, like some of them I'll mention, we can create these systems. You can create a great system. You can do all this, but end of the day, like you have to run that. And why are you doing this always comes into this. And understanding why each person is doing it is like absolutely incredible and it's powerful. And I feel like that's really what kept me the most engaged. Yeah, it's fun to see all the numbers and put data onto a spreadsheet, see a graph and say, if he does this, that'll happen. And the joy of like beating or overcoming a problem or solving a problem or fixing a problem is definitely fun. But to see, someone really like push themselves to the utmost limit, it's beautiful because that happened in several of these training runs. A lot of them wanted to quit and they stuck together and they inspired each other and lifted each other up. There were several instances where I think Gino, one of our athletes, like wanted to stop running and then everybody just, lifting him up from his chair and just pushing him, throwing water on his face, saying that don't stop, keep going. And people, Santosh telling him, you know why you're running. Do it for that. Think about it. And then him, like almost like a zombie, like coming back to life. Okay, I know I am here. I know what I've sacrificed and just keep going. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I get chills, honestly.
Yeah, I get chills too. I mean, it's so powerful. Yeah.
And I feel silly for like saying this again and again. And it just reminds me so much And in that sense, it gives me context also to what we were doing when we started Sunchasers, when we were like crewing for people, cheering people on. It was so similar to what you guys are doing. It was so similar. We were doing it unstructured, unknowingly. We didn't have like a goal or an objective. We were just doing it out of love for the community. But the things that we were doing were so similar, and which is why some of the record-breaking performances also came around that time. I think the first time a sub 10 100K was broken was by Hemant, who was from our team. I think Hemant and Suraj did that, and Binay also created the national record for 24 hours at one point. All of these have been much better now by a lot of athletes. But this is exactly what we were doing in stadiums as well. We had all these people wanting to quit. I had Chandar, who was in the race for qualifying for the national team. He had to, I think, hit 215, and he had done like 200, and he was like falling short. And I remember the moments precisely in Bangalore Kantirva Stadium, him like hiding out in washroom and saying, I just can't anymore. And we were like chasing him and knocking on the door and saying, come out, we've got to do this. Like, we've done that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
So
Yeah.
definitely the road to Albi or Project 300, there was definitely a day where we had to do it and make it happen on the biggest stage possible. But the journey getting there was beautiful. It took a lot of guts. It took an intense sacrifice from me personally, from everybody else, financially as well. Like, a lot of people sacrificed a lot for this, and then they went on that day, and definitely we can get into what happened.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, before we get to Albi journey, the event that you guys were all training for months on end, right? And before we talk about that, do you want to tell us more about the journey leading up to that? Some of the key moments, something that stayed with you, some things that happened along the way that make it even bigger than the number 300.
I think getting to know everybody. I think really on a individual level, getting to know everybody and getting to know them personally and understanding themselves and stories, because they're all incredible human beings. And of course, as I mentioned, when you see greatness, I can't help but just admire it. And I think watching Gino get up at that moment, watching him absolutely destroyed and getting up, and I can share why he got up for that reason. But watching him get up was so powerful. Watching Amar break a record every single time and just being like, what? Like, what is your limit? Like, just looking at him being like, what? When do you stop? Like, at what point are we going to reach a point where, like, okay, that's actually what the maximum you can do? Because I don't think we've reached it. And every time he's always just surprising me. One more record gone. And just put this into context. We have a target of 300 kilometers. In the case of Amar, at least, he breaks a national record. Okay. And he doesn't do it by like a small amount. It's a big amount. And then we're thinking, that 160 is quite high for 150 at the time in March was quite high. Okay, cool. That's as far as it can go. Let's see if we can do more. And we do more. We train harder. We do all this stuff. And then he breaks another record. Okay, that's his limit. He can't go more than that. Again, one more training, he does it. And then it's just, wow. Greatness again. And also, of course, like seeing new faces now, Sunita and the other athletes, like push themselves harder. I think one of the athletes, Velu, he was really sick one training run, and we had to kind of like bench him for a bit for his own safety, because ultra running is a dangerous sport. Yeah. And we had to bench him for his own safety. But then he wanted to, be there for his team. He wanted to be there for everybody else and be with everyone. And, we gave him a bunch of criteria. If he can do this, if he does his blood work, this, that, the other thing, he can go. Medically, he was kind of cleared. But then I was like, don't do this to the guy. Like, I don't feel comfortable. But then he said he wants to do it. And, we said, okay, cool. I can't stop you from doing it, but I can tell you my feelings on it. And he did it. And to see him perform at that level and, in spite of all the stuff that happened to him, is incredible. To see normal people do incredible things is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I've also seen where Velu's come from. Like, I've known him for many years. Met him at Kantirva only many years ago. Yeah, great. Fabulous. Should we talk about the race?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you've trained for many months and maybe years with certain athletes, and you arrive in France, Albi. What happens?
I think we were all super excited to be there. We trained really hard for this, and this was the day that we show up, and it was
So
extremely, yeah.
let's talk about the entire team. What was the so certain guys were shooting for 300, right? But not everybody was.
Yeah.
For example, women's team, they had their 300. They
Yeah.
had their national record
Yeah,
in
the
mind.
300. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I called it Project 300 because definitely it's exciting. It's easy to market and sell. But every athlete had their own goal and they knew why we were there.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely it was a huge effort that we were going. It's definitely easy to market and sell 300 rather than, for example, Project Indian Record National. It's easy. It's like easy to kind of sell that rather than multiple numbers. So every athlete had a goal. Every athlete had a plan, at least from the Energy side. Everyone knew exactly what to do when. We really came up with that. Every crew knew what to do for these athletes too, because we broke down the crew into each athlete, understand, okay, cool, this is what's going to happen. We also looked at some of the, the data which we extrapolated from commercial grade technology, for example, the Garmin heart strap or Coros or whatever watch they were wearing, and then mapping it with example data that we gathered we're using a VO2 Mac or a CPET device, getting data from that, and we managed to plot out a graph that showed us neuromuscular fatigue. So when the athlete is going to hit their breaking point, what to do at what point. If they are saying certain things, if they're saying, for example, they're really fatigued, do this. If you ask them certain questions and they sound like this, do something else. So we had all these contingencies planned out to take care of athletes a certain way. Also, each crew was briefed on their each athlete's motivation as well, why they're running, the psychological factors, and also like when to push, when not to push. That's the other cool thing about testing. During this testing, we knew what to do when. These all are in theory, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, but we felt pretty confident we know what to do. So we get into it. And I think what really stood out to me in that race is that the weather, it was really pleasant in the morning and then very nice in the afternoon. And then after that, it just got cold. Now, this is the thing about human performance, which I feel like, or I don't say human performance, I mean to say human endurance, that is just absolutely riveting. It was so cold that if you stopped moving, your legs would just freeze. Why do you run at that point? Like, why are you doing this to yourselves? And the why played so much more of a factor than anything else at that point. Now, Amar, I mentioned to you, he had this problem, right? And we were really concerned about him because we saw that his performance would dip at a certain point, and we were trying to figure out what to do for him. And yeah, he really struggled a lot. He was doing really well, hit really good paces and stuff like that. But at a certain point, like the load that he was doing really got to his right hip. And then after that, like he really struggled. He wasn't able to keep his pace. His gait really dipped. And I would say like he earned his tough guy card that day because in spite of all that, he just refused to quit. Yeah. He did like, I think 240 kilometers or something like that, which is like, very shy of what he intended to do, but he just refused to quit. And I think it's an incredibly powerful thing that happened. Yeah. And you had athletes like Gino. Gino is basically one of those athletes that's just like tough as nails. His parents are deaf and dumb. So he was born parents were deaf and dumb. And he didn't learn to speak for a very long time. His parents actually gave him away to a neighbor so that they said, here's your chance to kind of, because they're able-bodied people, you can actually like learn how to speak, so on and so forth. So as he's a kid, he actually went and negotiated with people because he was able-bodied. He could speak and stuff like that. He would translate to sign language or whatever. He comes from that background, and then he went astray. He detoured a lot in life. He ended up drinking a lot and things like that. And running kind of centered him. And now he has a wonderful family. He has a child. So running has been that kind of thing for him. And I know he told me that he's running for his family. Wow. Yeah. So you had Gino like doing this for that. Then you had Sunita Subba, who made a promise to her father, that her late father, that she would do something incredible in sports. So this is a promise to her dad. Um, then you had Bindu, who wanted to, again, she's a teacher. She's not the youngest person, but she again like showed that she can, like, she's just as tough as anybody else.
She's tough.
Yeah, she's extremely. And then you had like Sugaurav, for example. Again, like he ran, I don't know. I didn't know he existed until at the 24-hour national championship, and he did phenomenally, like really good. And then he ended up doing, I can't remember the distance that he had done. He did like really well. And for somebody who's kind of unknown, who has a 9 to 5 job, and he was just like loving life the entire time. So you really find out, I think Santosh always says the real 24-hour starts at the 13-hour mark. And I'm telling you, it really started because, you saw Amar struggling with this and he just refusing to stop. And him like limping at that point, saying, no, I'll just keep walking and doing. And everybody around him, again, of course, like any human being is, I'm going to stop, I'm going to quit. Runners going behind him, like, at that point, it's a world championship. You want to do your level best. Runners are actually, like some of these athletes like Sugaurav, Velu, Saurav, stopped running. They was like, it's okay, forget my pace, forget the momentum, I'm going to help Amar do this. And everyone helping each other. It's so beautiful. And yeah, like Gino running nonstop, and there are several moments where Gino is just sitting down and he's just looking down and he's in pain. And then Hemant, one of the crew members, telling him, you know why you're running, think about your mother and father. And then he just gets up and goes. And just like, and he's getting up and going and just picking up a pace, 4:30 pace or whatever. To do that at that point is incredible, because I am like, if I just stand still, my legs have like frozen. I can't imagine just like, running, getting that momentum, feeling warm, then stopping, feeling cold, and then running again.
Yeah.
And then Sunita again, she was also just, she was, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think every person that was out running at that point, I had so much respect for them. Regardless of nationality, ethnicity, whatever, just sheer grit.
Yeah.
Truly incredible and powerful that these human beings were just running in a circle. And you could tell in their eyes that they were like in a zombified state. And the only thing that kept them going was why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the beauty of endurance sports, and we see so many people doing it, but what we don't know is the stories behind some of which you just brought to the fore. There's this beautiful reel that's been doing rounds. I think it was done by somebody, an international athlete, now been copied by Tata Mumbai Marathon also. It just shows a wave of people running, and it just shows.
Oh, the why on top, like a thought bubble, right? Yeah.
Right. We all show up differently, but we all show up, and you don't know out of those people who are circling that track for 24 hours what's going on in their lives, like what all struggles they've dealt with outside the track as well.
I think you don't know that in general, right? It's so easy to just say that no, you've had it easy, or your my life is harder, but we don't know.
Yeah. But one secret I'll let you in on,
sure,
is that it's easier for the athlete. So when when I'm not running, I just feel everyone who's running and doing these great distances is like God. Matlab, how are they doing this? It's insane. But when you start doing it, you're sort of able to do it. And even in like tough moments, and I've been on the other side, watching as a crew as well, and it's always fascinating. But in the moment, I've also like broken body, broken mind, everything like is just mind's all over the place, and you're still able to get up and do it. It's just a little bit easier than like being the athlete. Like what's difficult is quitting. You'd think that quitting is easy, like you just call it off, ho gaya, right? But just the thought of imagining yourself out of this race where everyone else is still going, and you've given up and you're watching from the sidelines, bro, that's tough. That is tough.
I think personally the hardest part for me during that race, I told you, like I do a lot, I guess. I do a few things. I always don't like the dialogue I have that, oh my God, I do so many things. I don't think so. I think it's all can be managed if I manage my time better and I manage myself. I walked into that race after doing Wipro Bangalore Marathon, and I didn't sleep at all for like a few days leading up to that race because, I mean, as a race organizer, you're expected to do it. And it's definitely one of those races that I've seen grow since inception. So I'm like super passionate about it. Yeah, so I walked into the whole Albi thing with this at the background and managing all the other stuff that goes into it. And now my focus is on this, so I'm giving this 100%. I wanted to quit. To be honest with you, I really wanted to quit because what happened is, at the 13-hour point, nothing went according to plan. We had all those plans. It helped. Actually, those plans helped a lot. We knew what to do. But when you're managing, like, I don't know how many people there are, but when you're managing everybody, nothing was just going according to plan because, we thought Amar would absolutely do it. I thought Amar also thought he would absolutely, destroy it because he did all this.
Yeah.
But that's life. Like
That's life.
you're training, and like, can you imagine? Like, he's broken so many national records. You're thinking this is just going to be easy. It's not. We struggled like that, like crazy. So many athletes had so many issues. Velu had so
It's
many
like you
issues.
won all the matches and you get to the final and then nothing goes your way.
I think the story of Amar also doesn't end definitely at the World Championship. I'll definitely talk about that later. But Velu had so many issues. He was throwing up, a lot. And then we had to make the decision of, hey, calm down, slow down. And then, of course, everything that was happening with Amar, we were trying to do whatever. Vivek also was there. So Vivek was trying to do everything he could to like reduce the inflammation in his hip and kind of get him moving and stuff like that. So all this stuff was happening. And, at that point, Santosh, okay, this is hilarious. Okay. I go to the medical tent, and the hardest part about going to the medical tent that when it's so cold, the warmest place is the medical tent. So the worst thing you could do as a runner is go to the medical tent because now you know what warmth is. Okay, once you know what warmth is, you never want to leave. So I went there and obviously to check in on a couple of athletes to see that they're okay and stuff like that. So I go in there and then they're like, okay, fine. I have to go, do my job and help cruise some certain athletes. So I'll go back and do that. I go help them. And then Santosh says, let me go to the medical tent and help them. Santosh goes to the medical tent and he said, then Santosh doesn't come back for a while. Santosh and Velu, for example. Now I'm here doing my job or whatever, managing things. And the doctor then comes into the Team India tent. And then I was just like, why is the doctor here? Santosh should be here. And then Santosh is, and obviously the doctor is like, come, I need to talk to you. And I said, me? I am a crew, right? I'm not an athlete. I'm fine. Like, help somebody that needs it or whatever. And he says, yeah, your team manager collapsed.
What?
Yeah.
Santosh collapsed.
He just collapsed apparently, just out of stress.
Wow.
Yeah, I keep teasing him every time I see him because I said I'm here to take care of athletes, not my manager. Yeah. But yeah, I think it was the stress, and I feel like that really gave an example as to what the energy was like in the tent, where we were all like really stressed out for the athletes, and we were stressed out that we weren't hitting our targets. And at that point, I think it just came down to survival. We just said finish the race.
Let's take a moment here to talk about the fact that it's really tough for the crew. Like, crewing is not an easy job. I think we talked about this in detail in our previous conversation. Crewing is a specialized job, and I think every race demands the crew also to physiologically adapt. I was doing a podcast with someone who's the fastest Indian at bad waters.
Oh, wow.
So training for bad waters, he said my crew also had to train in that weather. You can't just show up.
Smart, yeah.
Because otherwise, your crew can sometimes you make or break. Crew can easily talk you into quitting. But yeah,
it's definitely a team. Because I was awake for 24 hours with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the hard part was going into the medical tent, and then, I mean, yeah, so many crew members quit too. Like, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So many
absolutely.
of the
And hats off to these guys who are also doing these multi-day races and backyard and I know people take turns and stuff, but even in like Hell Race, which is Manali to Leh 480 kilometers, that's a 5-day thing. And there's also like what's it called? High fives. So 5 marathons in 5 different passes between Manali and Leh. So these guys, the race organizers and the team, how many hours are they up? And they, like in that altitude, they're all Like, look at the runners who are hallucinating. I'm pretty sure the crew's also hallucinating. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think at the Bangalore Marathon, so I think the digital marketing team was definitely we stayed up for more than 24 hours, hitting almost 2 days kind of thing. And yeah, we were all like, I felt I was on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny because we were all together. We were all like suffering just the same, and we're trying to get work done, push out content, and plan, edit stuff. So yeah, it's definitely fun. I think there's a lot of fun in suffering together. Yeah, I think that's the whole. Yeah, we can laugh about it now, but at the time it was like
And it's
unpleasant.
never easy. And the next
Yeah.
time you do it, it won't be easy again, but it'll still be worth it.
You get used to being uncomfortable. I think definitely. So yeah, that definitely was the case. And I just want to point out, you might think that the story of Amar is sad. It has a sad ending, but it does not have a sad ending. Okay.
One, it hasn't ended.
It hasn't ended for sure. It's just getting started, I would just say. And you think that, okay, yeah, oh no, he didn't get 300 kilometers in the World Championship. There was a Asia Oceania event after that. It was the 100-kilometer Asia Oceania in.
Oh yes, the high point for entire running community.
Yeah, in Bangkok, if I'm not mistaken.
We broke 7.
India did it. I
Yeah.
mean, Amar did it. No, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. He did. He was the first Indian to do a sub-7 100-kilometer.
That's massive.
Incredible.
That's international standard. Like,
Yeah.
totally. That's world class. I know the world record has just been bettered, and it's like we're 2 hours away from it. But still, anything in the vicinity of 6:37 hours is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think he's definitely up there, and I think that he's not yet stopped.
Yeah, and I think the standards are getting better each year, but just like a couple of years ago, even the American record was around 6:30. I know because I think Anthony, who worked with Team India for a bit, is an American
Okay.
athlete, and he was also like an American national record holder for 100K for a while, and his was close to 6:30 or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is world standard.
So the story of Project 300 definitely is amazing, because what you saw was over the course of, it wasn't a one-day event. As we discussed, it wasn't a one-day event. It was several months, almost close to a year. And over that time, we had 3 national records broken, 2 female national records broken, and 3 personal bests. So I thought it was absolutely incredible. And of course, like 4 national records if you count the 100-kilometer run, because obviously after the World Championship, Amar promptly went to that. And of course, adaptation, the process
No,
is still
definitely
stayed the
count
same.
that in for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would say that I was like very happy about it. And I couldn't be proud of all of them, because seeing Gino at the finish line, and I don't want to say I was a part of it, because that was his moment, and I still feel like it's 100% the finish line moment for all those athletes is their moment. I just happened to be there, and I maybe just gave a couple of nudges here and there, and to see them say things like, I did it for you, Dad. I did this for my mom and dad. I gave everything I had. And to see these guys in normal human beings, and you say normal, I don't think they're normal, but like you look at, on paper and see that, oh yeah, this is who they are. They're probably normal to the layman. And I think they're not normal. So
I think they're very normal human beings. It's just that they're doing superhuman things, and
well put. So seeing them and being a part of that journey is just beautiful. Yeah. So I was so proud of every one of them. I'm still proud of every single one of them. I think they did like incredible things. I think they proved everybody wrong. Yeah. By the way, when India goes to these world championships now, because of all the incredible things we've done, like all the countries, like they gave, oh wow, India's here. Okay. I don't think that never used to happen before, because I think the attitude in the IAU events is that, some countries come for the love of running, which is fine. But the competitive bunch are like, okay, who's going to win? This, that, the other thing. And I think, yeah, now India's
now
there
considered
for
there.
sure.
That's just such a proud thing for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, I haven't been to these events, but I've friends who've represented India, and they tell us the stories. And
Albi is definitely a beautiful. I mean, we talked about the race and stuff. The city is amazing, beautiful. beautiful city. I feel like France as a country is a very sports loving country because you had so many people watching the race.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was, it's
So,
a small
yeah.
city. Yeah, it's a small city. So you had like a,
So
because
the
it's just,
stadium was like,
yeah,
well,
it
it was
was
a
the
stadium.
place to be
It was
on.
a stadium, or was it like a track?
No, so they had a stadium. No, so it was a mix. It was a track. I think it was a 1.5 or 1.4 kilometer loop,
Okay.
mix of road and track.
It wasn't like the stadium 400-meter track.
No.
Okay.
I think if it was, it would probably make everybody's lives easier. But I feel like they wanted, for whatever reason, it's the organizers, their course. They get to decide all these stuff. So this is what they decided.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the course had spectators.
Oh, a lot of spectators. A lot. I mean, more than I've ever seen.
What's the scene like today? So today we're recording, this is 24th of January,
Oh my God,
2026. There's a stadium run going on in Nehru Stadium, Delhi.
Yeah.
NEB Sports is organizing that.
Yeah.
I wonder how you made time. Like, what are you doing? You should be in the stadium.
I'm going back to the stadium after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how's the crowd like there? Have people turned up in this cold weather?
Yeah. I mean,
Beautiful
again,
AQI today, by the way. Like, it's clear. It's
Yeah.
clear skies after many,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
weeks and days.
So yeah, the weather's really good. Yeah, of course you'll see. Obviously, where I'm going when the party starts right now, the sun is setting. It's gonna get cold, and you see. Of course, I think like the beautiful part of my job as a race organizer is I get to see sport or the human endurance so up close. I see it at the finish line. I see it at the start line. I see it at the medical tent, the physio tent. Yeah, I see it up close, and I think, yeah, I love this job. Sometimes it's amazing. I see people push themselves. Obviously, it's something that you obviously you come to that race, any race, but you have so many other races that go into it. You're thinking about this your run for several months. So yeah, it's beautiful that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has Project 300 taught you? Some of the learnings that amateur runners can actually apply in their lives.
Yeah, most certainly. So as I said, running is a linear sport. You can, for the most part, you can control every variable. So the first thing I would say is that 100% that try to recreate the race during training to see what happens. So the one thing that really stood out to us that I would definitely do if, for example, I was training for a race is like really consume the number of required carbs I would on race day during training to understand how my gut, first of all, reacts to, to race day and understand, like map out why what's happening, why is it not working. If I can have objective tests done to understand what's going on, then yeah, let's look at that. But definitely for the recreational runner, definitely test. If you're consuming X number of gels for your marathon or half marathon, try it out. See what happens. Get your gut used to this. If you feel that this is the number of gels or your coach tells you this is the number of gels, okay, let's try to get there and let's build up to it. Your training plan, your race day plan is not only meant for race day, it's meant for training. You want to do that, right. Recreate that D-Day as much as you possibly can.
So one doubt most people have is, one is of course cost is a factor, like I was saying.
Yeah, of course, cost is there. Yeah.
That's one. But that put aside, people feel like for an hour long run I don't need anything, like, or an hour and a half, like 90-minute long run I don't need anything.
Yeah.
Would you say even in your 10Ks and your hour long runs you should consume gels?
You know what? I think I would say don't do fasted sessions.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not beneficial. And the reason
in terms of priming your gut,
okay,
does it not train your energy systems to be more efficient and burn more fat?
Why would you do that to yourself? Like, why would you?
Let's say it's an easy run.
Yeah.
You do it in the morning. Let's say you're doing like a 12K.
Okay, cool. You're asking me a specific question. I think, yeah, fair. If you're going for a walk, if you're not hungry, don't force yourself to eat, certainly.
Not for a walk for sure. But let's say an easy 12K. Okay. Let's say with strides also, some strides thrown in. Which is not a hard session, by the way. It's an easy 12K run with some strides thrown in. Okay. And you usually a lot of people run fasted in the morning.
Okay. We're kind of getting into generalization. If you really want to answer this question, if I had to answer this question and say that, okay, I'm doing this session and I need to know if I need it, I would, one, have like subjective measures at the end and objective measures to see what's actually happening. I would actually put on a CPET device, which it's commonly known as a VO2 max. I would actually run that pace and see how much carbohydrates am I actually burning, how many calories am I actually burning. Okay, that's the research grade technology I'm using.
That varies person to person.
Yeah, that gives you the exact score. Right. The commercial grade
is the variance like significant?
Yeah, it is.
In
100%.
individuals?
Yeah, that's why it's a gold standard.
That's why some people will not need much nutrition, and
Okay.
others need a lot of
So,
calories.
like, let's put it this way. When, for example, you go on ChatGPT and you ask them, I'm going to do a half marathon, I'm running at so and so pace, the weather, certain weather factor. Okay, I'm giving you like these factors which would give you a much educated guess. But what tends to happen is ChatGPT, is using a formula to tell you this
Yeah.
in a figure. Now, that's great, but at the highest level of sports performance, we can't afford to take those gambles and chance.
Sure.
We need to get down to the exact number as close as possible to what it actually is. So then we would use a metabolic device, to basically a VO2 mask, and then like check the metabolites in your breath and see what is the actual number of calories you burned. And then you would use a RPE, which is a rate of perceived exertion, and say out of 1 out of 10, how exhausted are you? I would then try to work my way to ensure that I get the best training adaptability or the best benefit of that training with the lowest amount of RPE. So I would want to feel great and have the greatest benefits of the training. That's a win-win for me.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. So in this case, if you're doing a 12K fasted, 12K training, slow run or whatever, just have some food. Have a glass of orange juice or whatever it is. Just have some tender coconut water or what. If you don't feel like you need to, you don't want to have sports nutrition products, just have something. Have a banana. It's better than having nothing, because you will think of it this way. Running is basically, it's a sport that is more geared towards like running efficiency in this case. Your car needs fuel. Your body needs it to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where my question actually stems from is the fact that basically, as we're learning more and more.
Can I interrupt you actually?
Yeah.
I kind of mentioned the fact that I do so many races, in tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities. I actually go to the medical tent and I conduct surveys.
Mhm.
I ask runners, why are you here? No, I mean, not, I know why you're here. You have a problem. But I'm like, what led you to this point? And because I was like working with, a sports nutritionist, a biomechanics expert, a sports scientist, a run coach, I can make really educated, like a really great survey and ask them, like, why are you here? What led to this point? And consistently, what I've seen that is on race day, so many runners don't really eat food before getting on
Right.
on the track. And the other assumption that they tend to make is that I will leave the sports nutrition for race day and I will just wing it on training. So that's the misconception I'm seeing, and I think that needs to be adjusted. And secondly, what tends to happen to these runners is running is like, picking up and it's really gaining momentum. Everybody's signing up for these races. Nobody is managing their training loads and nobody's addressing injuries. And now people are getting injured. So this is what's leading. The overtraining is leading to it, because so many people at, for example, the Bangalore Marathon.
Overtraining and undernutrition.
Yeah, undernutrition, overtraining, or overtrained and not preparing, taking care of their nutrition.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in recent times, I've established, like, these are the learnings that I'm distilling from speaking to some experts and coaches, that the world is moving towards higher calorie intake during the runs for higher performance. Okay, so it's increasing. Earlier it used to be like 180 to 200 calories. Now we're talking about 250 to 300 calories. Even some elites are talking about pushing it to 400 calories an hour. So that's increasing. So more calorie intake definitely is linked to performance. And the other bit is priming your gut. So you can't just expect to like wing it in the race. Okay, I'll have consume all my nutrition during the race and not do it in the training. Now, let's say we have to do it in the training also. We've established that as well. You can't just.
Let's. You brought up such a great point, and I love the direction you're going. I want to make it clear that there is a way you can have the exact number, and the reason I say this is that your metabolic health is your metabolic profile is very different from my metabolic profile, and your gut health is different from my gut health, and it varies from person to person. So to apply a general rule to a very individualistic thing is kind of absurd.
Yeah.
What if there is a way? Because there is a way to kind of understand what is your metabolic health, your gut health, what is your rate of carbohydrate expenditure, your rate of absorbing carbohydrate expenditure. We can do that. And if you are interested, like, I mean, I can certainly connect anybody who's interested to Abhishek, because he is opening himself up to this, and this is the way he kind of like handles his clients.
And Abhishek is,
Yeah.
you said he's based out of the UK.
Yeah.
Where will the testing happen?
I think we've kind of like been narrowing down a couple of places, and
In Bangalore?
this is really his thing, and this is definitely his service as much as it. And I think a lot of these other people also promoting themselves and accepting clients too. So if somebody is interested, they can just reach out to me. I'm happy to connect, and we can bridge those gaps.
These
Certainly,
tests can be
yeah,
done
they all can be done.
your individualized
Yeah.
nutrition plan.
You told me this. There should be a facility for ultra running, or a center of ultra running performance. If I had the 15 million, I would do that 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like we've got to do something to raise that 15 million, dude. Like we have to have an ultra running center of excellence where like there's this huge stadium like facility, like much bigger than stadium, which can actually maybe accommodate multiple stadiums where there's everything, where you can train for altitude, train for elevation, train for low oxygen and heat, and you can simulate different conditions, test various metrics.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Again, I told you, like, if you think about the position I'm in, I am the largest community organizer in India in terms of running. Obviously, when I have this opportunity, I'm going to try to understand the customer as much. And since I'm doing this, I want to understand where everybody's thoughts are when it comes to products and stuff like that. And the only way this grows is if the ecosystem grows. If shoe sales go up, then naturally they'll invest in something like this, because this is literally what a shoe company should be doing. And a sports nutrition brand, which obviously Energy was doing. But Univier has to get into this. Fasten Up has to get into this. We all have to compete in this field. Not at the influencer level of like, okay, here's a funny reel, take this offer, not at the level, oh, this is the cheapest, do this. It should be at this part. And yeah, definitely, I hope more brands come in to do this and do this. That's when you see the performance part really go up. So the thing is, most Indian runners I've seen in all the surveys that we've done, they tend to gravitate more towards comfort and cushioning. For example, in the case of a shoe, most runners tend to gravitate towards comfort and cushioning, as compared to in other countries where they gravitate towards sports and performance. The day India kind of gets to this, as I think you'll see a need for a high performance lab.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but the other question is, why are Indians gravitating more towards comfort and cushioning versus sports performance?
I believe we don't know much beyond that. Like when you talk about performance, shoes performance, whether the shoes responsive, like what do these terms even mean?
No, but if you think about it, like we are gravitating more towards the comfort and cushioning only because they don't hurt. You want to be pain-free in those situations, because let's say, for example, I don't know if you ever run in a carbon-plated shoe, they hurt like crazy.
They do?
Oh my God, it's absolutely painful. Mm-hmm. But you're sacrificing comfort and pain for performance. But wait a minute. If you consistently run in those carbon-plated shoes, you have to adjust your entire biomechanics change. Now you have to address it. Now, like, is your like physiotherapist or your run coach asking you, okay, what are your running shoes? What are your gait patterns? Are we altering it? Are you priming your training sessions to fit into that shoe? Okay, now you've developed an altered gait. Are we now addressing that? Is he now going and telling your sports massage therapist that, hey, I need you to release this part only because it's over-absorbed certain things, but leave the right side alone because I want the adaptive tissue to be there.
Wow.
Okay, no. This is the level that, okay, no, I don't know if everybody does this, but I know for a fact that when I talk to other people in other run clubs, in the IAU meets and stuff like that, there are certain coaches who are like, there are certain people who love this.
Not in run clubs, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you know what? I mean, you have a run club. You had a run club, right? Okay, now run clubs is like trendy or whatever, but they've always existed. Yeah. So there are certain services that other coaches offer, in the West and stuff like that. And I think it has to come here. It will come here. It's still growing. So I think definitely in the future, I really hope that this happens.
Yeah.
But
I'm very positive about the whole scene, the growth of running community, the growth of ultra running, the growth of, and I think this whole infrastructure actually grows with it.
Yeah. So one of the metrics I actually will be looking at, obviously, is I want to look at both objective and subjective measures. I will be looking at this as looking at customer preference data and seeing where are we in terms of sports and performance. Because if that it goes in that direction, the entire ball game changes. Then everybody starts asking. Then every run coach or every run club will have more nuanced structures. They'll have a physiotherapist there. They'll have like a dedicated sports. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm assuming everybody's trying to scale or
No,
create systems like what I
no,
created.
I
Yeah.
work with all in running, and we have coaches, and we have this infrastructure of at least we try to make it holistic. We have nutrition. So of course, through being in endurance sport and being in coaching as well for a while, we do know certain things about nutrition.
Yeah.
But we do have like a sports nutritionist on
Lovely.
board, and we also have dealt with the let's say psychology issues. We've also dealt with, let's say, performance issues that have to do with psychology, and we can share our experience, but we say go to a psychologist. Like, here's somebody who'll guide you. We have a sports psychologist on board.
Yeah.
So having horses for courses is important.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to wing it all yourself.
Certainly. I love that you guys are doing that. That's amazing. I think that's a positive step in the direction we both want. So that's definitely one thing I would be looking at, the objective measure. And the subjective is I'm going to be talking to more people on race day. And just listening to what they say, listening to their thoughts. And if I can see that this is going to happen, the entire ecosystem will change.
Lovely.
100%.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm so sorry. We sidetrack like crazy. You asked me a question. And I think that you can't really answer this question or like
unless you test.
If you
what's the other best thing is to keep trying and seeing how that.
Okay, so if we are going to be general, then the answer will be general.
Yeah.
But if we want, because I can be specific, then the answer will be specific, and it has to be subjective to the person. I've already established that. Now, if the answer is general, or the question is general, I'll give a general answer. One is eat before you run. Data says that you won't end up in the medical tent of a race. You probably will have a better training session. Secondly, yes, I like that you came up with 100 cal, 200 cal, because it objectifies the fuel consumption. So it makes complete sense. Yes, have. I don't think it makes sense to come up with a specific number, because then I think we're giving a specific number to a specific type of person. And I don't think I have that data to say that, okay, 200 calories for this person. Yeah, measure the calories and see, and then map it out and understand, okay, 100 calories is the X amount under distance, humidity, and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, bulk of the communities probably, at least currently, does not have access to these measurements and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and bulk of us are just winging it. So we're heading out for these runs. My question specifically was priming the gut.
Yeah.
So
you had a glimpse of this.
Yeah. Do we because most of the runners currently training for ultras or any longer distances, like even a marathon, would probably consume gels in their long runs. So let's say like the Sunday long run, 25, 24, 28 kilometers, I'm going to consume gels in that. But my 16Ks and my 12Ks and my let's say a recovery run of 6Ks, and I don't consume gels in any of those.
Okay, there is definitely a health component that you really have to look at when you are ingesting copious amounts of carbohydrates. You have to understand that your metabolic profile completely changes. And I'm saying this because we saw this happen at the highest level with our athletes, where you had athletes like Amar, who's basically consuming copious amounts of carbohydrates and then for whatever reason stopped.
Yeah.
You have a risk of developing diabetes at that point, because your body's physiology says that this individual is going to consume copious amounts of carbohydrates, and now they have to.
I think that's a whole different conversation.
And this is so valid in ultra running and other races. In fact, I saw a study which actually did like the physiological testing for Olympic athletes, and they observed the same thing. If you are chasing performance does not equal health. Performance is actually dangerous.
For sure.
I've even spoken to Gopi Chand about this. He's also told me that, he was like, I know for a fact I was borderline pre-diabetic, and the symptoms for that metabolic disease is very evident. So when you're chasing performance, you're sacrificing your health.
For sure.
100% if you're going to get into that, I think get some blood work done. Consult a doctor. Please do that, because you don't want to end up in a wrong situation by doing that. Yeah. So definitely I want to give an answer, But I do want to add several caveats to it because I saw this happen and I said that, hey, before I say, for example, in the case of Amar, who's doing about 300 kilometers in a month. That's the kind of mileage he's doing. More than that, right?
300 in a month? No,
Yeah.
Amar is probably doing about, I don't
Yeah.
know,
I think not 300.
200 a week or something.
Yeah, more than that. Okay, can you give me a like I can't remember the exact number. Let's assume if it's 200 into
He must
4.
be doing 100 miles a week minimum.
Okay, cool. 200 kilometers in a week. Thank you for that correction. So every session is an opportunity for him to train his gut. So even in a 5K, he would be having gels to get his body into having gels. I don't think this makes sense for somebody who's training for like a
a recreational runner.
No,
maybe.
Absolutely not.
But even if a recreational runner needs to run 100 miles, his gut needs to be trained because he is going to need fuel. So I think maybe training blocks can be there. Maybe round the year you do not need to consume, but maybe like let's say 3 months leading up to the race, you've got to start.
Okay, let me put it to you this way, because there are certain physiological components that go into this that will affect your fueling. So at the Bangalore Marathon, you assume that Bangalore has like really good weather. You don't need to do all this. Why did we see, like in the Bangalore Marathon in the medical tent, why did we see so many runners come into the medical tent, and especially the marathon people during peak humidity time? So I absolutely butchered the thing, but we wrote a paper on this, and it's available on the Energiva blog site. And I think it's like very salient because we linked several studies, and we cited several studies saying that why humidity was a killing factor in the Wipro Bangalore Marathon. And we saw several runners actually display signs of like humidity, the effects of humidity and dehydration and stuff like that, nausea. And we saw several symptoms, and we were like, hey, let me check the humidity. And during the peak humidity is when we had the peak inflow of runners come in. And they were all people who are doing the marathon at a certain humidity level. And then as the sun rose, the humidity level increased. And then we saw like these issues come up. So what tends to happen when humidity goes up, the heart rate goes up, the run becomes a lot harder. That's why, Tata Mumbai Marathon tends to be a lot harder than the other races. I've also run in Bombay one time, and I said, wow, this is the toughest 10K of my life. And I realized that humidity is, it's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a tough race.
So if you are doing 100 miler, like for example, when you told me you were doing the border race, I asked you, what's the temperature like? And you gave me several hours, and I said, okay, cool. You're looking at several, like the range, and then I look at the temperature. Then what does that temperature do to your body physiologically? How do you address that particular thing? And then I would come up with a fueling plan to address that. And then, of course, even like clothes and stuff.
I have to acknowledge and thank you for that. You gave me like a custom fueling plan, and you gave me a lot of advice. And like neuromuscular fatigue due to shoes, I didn't know that also happens. And which is why changing your shoe mid-run can actually be a game changer. And I did not, because I didn't have a good second pair, which I had done some mileage in. So it was brand new, and I didn't want to take a chance.
For context, I gave you the plan like very deep into it. Obviously, we had a chat, and we caught up after the World Championship, and I debriefed you on some stuff. And I was like, hey, we've come up with a custom fueling plan. Why don't you try it into it? And I can certainly leave it open for your listeners, and then they can obviously use it and
the custom fueling plan.
Yeah, custom fueling plan.
Wonderful.
Yes. So definitely adding and improving it based on the logic Abhishek created. So yeah, definitely is there. And the reason that I would say what makes it special and unique is that it takes into factors like what race are you doing, what is the weather that we expected, and if we can pull data from that, we certainly will pull data from that. It's easy, right? It's weather data we can get, but obviously, like if the race is within a certain period, whether data can be trusted. Yeah.
Wonderful, sir. This has been beautiful. Project 300. We did not hit the number 300.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
We didn't hit the number, but as I mentioned, we did 4 national records for men, 2 national records for women, and 3 personal bests. I'm super proud. Yeah, the number definitely wasn't there, but I think the number doesn't matter. Because
you think there is something about making audacious goals, like audacious, big goals. Why is that important?
I think it's a declaration to yourself and the world, or myself and the world, that we want to dream big and we want to achieve it. And yeah, you fail and you learn lessons. And I definitely learned a bunch. I'm sure the team learned a bunch. Yeah, I stand by it. I think it's incredible everything that we've done, and I'm super proud of it. In spite of all them, there were 110 challenges happening at the same time: funding, access to technology, blending. We had to come up with a way to blend research grade, medical, and commercial grade technology. Pull out data. How reliable is it? Finding access to good quality shoes. All this stuff is insane, and we managed to do something incredible. So I'm super proud of it. I don't think I'm sad or ashamed, and I'm super proud of every
No.
athlete.
No,
Yeah.
indeed. I mean, I see this as a part of your community,
Yeah.
like the running community. I'm super proud of what Energy Wear team has achieved, and these athletes have achieved, and what we've learned in the process. Despite so many challenges, despite limited resources,
Yeah.
like in my head, this is like breaking two level of project. It just add marketing to it, add more resources to it.
Yeah.
This is that project.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you did it without
Yeah.
all those resources.
Yeah, definitely. I think marketing. I think that's the other reason why I even came here and I wanted to share this with you, is because obviously I wanted to do justice to the efforts that every single team member had put in, and I really feel I would say that I dedicate this podcast to them, because a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, literal blood, sweat, and tears went into this project, and I feel that in any project's life cycle, there's of course training for it, and there is doing the impossible or trying to do the impossible, and then there's the post part. And I feel this falls into the post part. And yeah, definitely one of the things I would do differently is I learned so much about marketing through this, and understand, looking at several other people who've done freak distances and exhibition events like this, where they're trying to do the impossible and stuff. And I've learned a lot through the process. And I think this marketing part is definitely something I definitely will do better at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe this is just the beginning. This just leaves us at a very
Do
interesting
you know
juncture.
that this part, the marketing part, actually I found to be the hardest part?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's genuinely. I think you can technically, by making those small tweaks, you can get to that number.
Yeah.
It's totally doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched Mark Manson's videos, and he was just saying he was approached by Airbnb and they wanted to create an experience, and he said they wrote me a blank check. He said, whatever you want to do, you can do that. And then he created some experience. It was so good. I was like, it'll be so nice for someone to walk in and say, like, dude, you have the blank check. Do what can you do with these athletes and this
Yeah.
technology and with what you know. Take Indian ultra running to where you can. Like, this is the...
Yeah, I think when you get into the world of human performance, the blank check is needed.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive thing. And I think the reason why human performance even works is because of storytelling and stories that go into it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that reminds me why I do this podcast.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage you to talk to some of the people that are here, because I feel like when we both sit together, it ends up becoming two fans.
Yeah. No, and that has its own...
that's its own charm for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to talk to Abhishek, and get him to answer all the nerdy stuff that we
enjoy. Yeah, you'd love that episode. Yeah.
Lovely. So I feel whatever you've been up to through Project 300 is super special. It's a part of history. India is at some point definitely going to break 300, whether that's through our efforts or not, or it's somebody doing it on their own entirely. Whenever that happens, this conversation or this effort will definitely be remembered. But in terms of our efforts, I really hope NEB and Energiva, your team, can continue these efforts. I hope the infrastructure becomes available. I hope teams come together. I hope brands come together, and this team gets together again and challenges the limits of human endurance.
Yeah. I think definitely one of the main lessons I kind of learned is that in order for this to work sustainably, there has to be a monetary compensation for every party involved. So definitely every coach that's there has to see financial benefit other than just being a one-time project, because they need to see sustainability in this. So definitely every coach that's there has to see huge financial benefit and brand value also in being a part of these projects. Secondly, every brand, like for example, in the case of Project 300, the amount of shoe data that we collected is insane. So what do we do with that data? The shoes can be a part of that, and you can share that data with them, saying, because think about it this way, it's testing human endurance to its absolute limit. You have a freak athlete like Amar, Bindu, Sunita, all these athletes, amazable, incredible, 0.01% in terms of runners. They are literally testing the shoe to its absolute limit. Now, can you make new products out of that? The sports apparel that they're wearing, can your product actually last for 24 hours in the Indian heat and the Indian sun, or in any of the different weathers that they're doing? If they can, you've officially made a great product. Sports nutrition, yes, Energiva was there, but as I mentioned, like all the other brands have to be involved.
Yeah.
So the projects that you and me look up to, like Breaking 2 or Chasing 100, I'm not sure if it was financially successful. I think Breaking 2 was financially successful, but you saw the brands that were there. Nike made a shoe out of it. They launched, so the shoe was the hero there, definitely.
Vaporfly.
Yeah. Was it Vaporfly? Okay, yeah. Vaporfly was the hero because that shoe can get you to do, your PB or whatever. And then Morton was also there. Kipchoge really, I don't know, he definitely he's a brand ambassador for Morton too. So all these brands benefited from it. And I think that if this happens simultaneously, we'll see we'll see more of this happen. And of course, secondly, it's the storytelling part.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we love sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep doing that. Thank you. Thank you so much for making time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers.